Okay, so now after you've done the T, which is for title, and the P for paraphrase, and your TPCAST, and we've been talking about Annabel Lee. So you're going to move to the C part of TPCAST, which is connotation. So connotation is essentially, what does that mean? And so what words or phrases stick out to you? You're going to look for any kind of patterns or the figurative language, any imagery and sound elements. So the patterns are things that you see that it does the same kind of thing. Is there a rhyme scheme? Are you looking, do you notice any kind of figurative language? Like, there's a metaphor or a hyperbole, maybe a simile hidden in there, or maybe some kind of onomatopoeia, which is the nice sound that something might make, but it's written out in a word. So in Annabel Lee, there are a couple of things that we noticed inside of the poem. And the things that the repetition of a couple of things, you might have noticed that there is a constant restating of love and then you have this overwhelming feeling. But what are we finding with the repetition? We see in this kingdom by the sea. We also notice that he talks about my beautiful Annabel Lee. So connotation. And so why would this be important to the author? Why does he keep saying this? Why does he pointing out in the kingdom by the sea? What image comes to mind? So imagery are those things that you can visualize inside of your head. And so you want to be detailed. An attitude and tone. You're talking about how does the speaker feel about the topic or the subject of his poem? So in this case, it's Annabel Lee. How does he feel about Annabel Lee? So that tone at this point, what did you take away? The shift. The shift in TPCAST is when things change. In a lot of poems, there's going to be something that is different from the beginning to the end of your poem. So the beginning of the poem, how did he feel about Annabel Lee? Then at the end, how did he feel? What emotions, what was he going through? And then you go, okay, when did that change? So what line or stanza, and give me a group of words that tells you when did it change from one thing to another. Then you're going to look at the title. And in this case, you're going to say, okay, was my prediction about the poem Annabel Lee correct? Or did it change? And so just don't say yes and leave it at that. Say yes because, and then explain where did you notice that it changed, or where did you say, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And then the last one is the theme. What was your big takeaway? What was this all about? So what is the poet trying to get you to feel or to understand or to know about his subject? So TPCAST, you have your title. That's the first thing you do before you ever read it. You look at the title of the poem. What do you think it's about? P is paraphrase. You can go line by line or every couple of lines. What did that say? It was many, many, many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. So you already know it happened a long time ago, somewhere close to the ocean, that a maiden lived there whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee, the young girl that everybody knew, whose name was Annabel Lee. You could go all the way down, or you can summarize it into a nice sentence at the end. P was paraphrase. C is connotation. So that you're going to say, what do these words mean? This goes back to maybe what the author's purpose is. Why did the author choose those words? Why did they choose to share that in that specific imagery? Or why did they choose to sound out those things? The attitude, the shift, when did it change? Did it change from beginning to end? And identify when it changed. The title, did it match what you thought it was going to be about, or did it change and explain? The theme, what was your big takeaway at the end?